buy something for one price and instantly sell it for a higher price to someone else. If this were a book about how to get rich quick, I'd expound on each of those first two steps. But the point of this book is to expose the dirty little secret underlying the third step of corporate America's act. It's prestige. And here's how it works. Pretend like you care about something other than profit and power, precisely to gain more of each. All great magicians master the art of distraction. Flashing lights, smoke, beautiful women on stage. Today's captains of industry do it by promoting progressive social values. Their tactics are far more dangerous for America than those of older robber barons. Their do-good smokescreen expands not only their market power, but their power over every other facet of our lives. As a young 21st century capitalist myself, the thing I was supposed to do was shut up and play along. Wear hipster clothes, lead via practice vulnerability, applaud diversity and inclusion, and muse on how to make the world a better place at conferences and fancy ski towns. Not a bad gig. The most important part of the trick was to stay mum about it. Now I'm violating the code and pulling back the curtain and showing you what's really going on in corporate boardrooms across America. Why am I defecting? I'm fed up with corporate America's game of pretending to care about justice in order to make money. It is quietly wreaking havoc on American democracy. It demands that a small group of investors and CEOs determine what's good for society rather than our democracy at large. And this new trend has created a major cultural shift in America. It's not just ruining companies, it's polarizing our politics, it's dividing our country to a breaking point, and worst of all, it's concentrating the power to determine American values in the hands of a small group of capitalists rather than in the hands of the American citizenry at large, which is where the dialogue about social values belongs. That's not America, but a distortion of it. Wokeness has remade American capitalism in its own image. Talk of being woke has morphed into a kind of catch-all term for progressive identity politics today. The phrase "stay woke" was used from time to time by black civil rights activists over the last few decades, but it really only took off recently, when black protesters made it a catchphrase in the Ferguson protests in response to a police officer fatally shooting Michael Brown. These days, white progressives have appropriated "stay woke" as a general-purpose term that refers to being aware of all identity-based injustices. So while "stay woke" started as a remark black people would say to remind each other to be alert to racism, it would now be perfectly normal for white coastal suburbanites to say it to remind each other to watch out for possible microaggressions against, say, transgender people. For example, accidentally calling someone by their pre-transition name. In woke terminology, that forbidden practice would be called dead naming, and microaggression means a small offense that causes a lot of harm when done widely. If someone committed a microaggression against black transgender people, we enter the world of intersectionality, where identity politics is applied to someone who has intersecting minority identities, and its rules get complicated. Being woke means waking up to these invisible power structures that govern the social universe. Lost? You aren't alone. Basically, being woke means obsessing about race, gender, and sexual orientation. Maybe climate change too. That's the best definition I can give. Today, more and more people are becoming woke, even though generations of civil rights leaders have taught us not to focus on race or gender. And now, capitalism is trying to stay woke too. Once corporations discovered wokeness, the inevitable happened. They used it to make money. Consider Fearless Girl, a statue of a young girl that suddenly appeared one day in New York City to stare down the iconic statue of the Wall Street Bull. It was apparently a challenge for Wall Street to promote gender diversity. The placard at Fearless Girl's feet said, "Know the power of women in leadership. She makes a difference." Feminists cheered. The trick? She, or SHE, referred not only to Fearless Girl, but to the NASDAQ-listed Exchange-Traded Fund, or ETF, that her commissioners